For the tour, rose or the thorns. I'm doing my best not to let it take form. Me and my angels triangle is the norm, but I'm caught up in a circle, spinning wheels till I'm warm. Push them to the edge, edges look warm, so I'm kneeling at my bed till my circle transforms to a
Everybody's doing all right? Can y'all hear me pretty good? Okay, good. We're gonna go right into our Q&A. We got about how many questions, Danielle?
60.
So Chanel's like, what? My question's 59. I'm just joking.
No, we got it.
We just got 6. Oh, my bad. Yeah. Let's go give it up for Miss Dan. Let's give it up for our panel. She's back on the cards.
All right, so our first one.
First off, y'all see this nice sweatshirt. You can buy sweatshirts like these. Oh, y'all like that, don't you? You can buy it online at our store. You just go to our website, click store, you get a shirt just like this.
What?
Mine's old school, this is vintage. She what now? Can you bottle it? Model it. Oh, you got bottle up there.
Y'all want the shirt or no?
I was like, what? All right, first question.
Okay, so so our first question is more of a comment, but I thought it was really good, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. It says, just to thank you for allowing the Lord to use you. This message really spoke to me because I've had a lot of distractions this week and I've been fighting a battle a lot, but I have the victory after tonight. That was really good.
That's what it's about.
All right. So question number 1 says, if you have children out of wedlock, can you still be looked at as a woman of virtue? If you have children out of wedlock, can you still be looked at as a woman of virtue?
Of course. Because once you're forgiven, God is not a type of God that holds what you did in your past against you. He's not the type of God that says, well, since you did this, then you a half-virtue woman. you a Proverbs, what's half of 31? About 15? 15 and a half. You're Proverbs 15 and a half. But what is God trying to say is I'm loopy, man, no worries. But for that woman who asked that question, I want you to understand that what Jesus did on the cross for you erased all of that. That once you go before God and you confess your sin and say, God, hey, I made a mistake. A lot of us made mistakes out of ignorance. A lot of us made mistakes out of innocence. A lot of us made mistakes out of just peer pressure. And God is not a God that's sitting there saying, well, it's too bad for you. It's too late. They're only blessed virgins or something. Like, God is not the type of God that says, I'll bless just virgins. If he was that type of God, his 12 disciples would have been Pharisees. The people that kept the law. That's why I tell people, like, I apologize. Someone told me at the Y, how do you feel about gay marriage in North Carolina? I said, you know what I feel about it? I said, how would you feel if someone forced you not to be with the one you loved? How would you feel if all you did was to say, you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong, but don't understand what's really causing that? That's going to cause these people groups to look at us as we're, well, I don't accept you. That's just nasty. I said, when I had a gay person come and sign up with his partner for a membership at the Y. Did I just say, oh, I can't serve you? I said, man, I want to help your partner to get in shape. I didn't sit there and shun their sin. I just made them feel engaged. Because you don't want to be that type of person that says, well, shoot, you're not accepted by God because of your past. No. I'm giving myself the opportunity to say, God, if you want to use me in anyone's life to help them to find the truth, I can. Now, does that mean I believe it's right? No. But most people don't even know what they're engaged in. So for that person who's saying, man, God, do you love me even though I had a baby out of wedlock? God ain't looking at what you did in your past. He's saying, man, I accept you as you are, but do I want you to stay as you are? No. But I'm not going to make you feel like you're unacceptable, that you can't be used by me, that you can't be a virtuous woman. A virtuous woman is based upon what the Holy Spirit does inside of that woman, not based upon what you work to become. Virtuous is nothing that you can work unto by your own merit. You have to be developed into it. And God, if God can use Mary Magdalene, if God can use all these people who went through tough times to bring in Jesus himself, then surely he can use you. So I hope that helped. You want to add something? You good? Want to add something to it?
I'll just add that a lot of times we don't feel like what we really are, and that's why we can't be led by our emotions. You know, a lot of times we don't feel forgiven, but we are. And so even though you don't feel like a woman of virtue because you had a child out of wedlock, or you had an STD, or you used to be an alcoholic or a pothead, or maybe you used to sell drugs, you used to trap all the time, whatever. If you don't feel saved, if you don't feel righteous, just because you don't feel that way doesn't mean that that's how God sees you. And so just because you don't feel like a woman of virtue, that doesn't mean that you're not. If we were led by our feelings all the time, we would be a hot mess. And that's why there's grace for everything that we've ever done, for everything that we're doing, and for everything that we ever will do. And so if you don't feel like a woman of virtue, ask God, say, God, change the way that I think about me. Because you may have an amazing testimony, an amazing story to share with somebody, but the way you feel about yourself is preventing you from doing just that. And if you don't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? And a lot of times, Ishmael said it, that sin will call you, or Satan will call you by your sin, and God will call you by your name. So you may be calling yourself a pothead, a party girl, a trap star, whatever, this, that, and the third, and God is calling you redeemed, a mighty man of valor, a mighty woman of God. So don't go off what you did, because you are not what you did. You are what Christ did for you. So don't get the two confused.
And he loves accusations. He loves to accuse you. See, God looks at what you're doing now and forward. Satan looks at what you've done. So what happens is he says, okay, how can I get you stuck now by looking at what you did? So what happens is you'll stop progressing because you continue looking back. If I drove looking backwards, I will eventually get in an accident. And that's why many of us get in accidents, because we're looking back more than we're looking forward. And so when you look at the Christ and look what Jesus done for you, yes, it's fact. It is factual what you did, but is it relevant now? So what happens is, yes, you might have done it, and yes, you may have done the most wickedest things, but Jesus was around the prostitutes and the sinners. And so if you understand that God's saying, man, I see you where you are, and I want to work for you, I want to work in you to be that virtuous woman, then you'll accept that work on God, that work of God in your life, versus shunning it because you're so busy looking at your past. So how can you become that virtuous woman? Stay committed to God. Stay with him. Look at yourself the way he sees you. If you feel like, man, I keep falling into these things, surround yourself with other women that can help sustain you in that endeavor.
All right, so our next two questions kind of ask the same thing, so I'm just going to read one and it'll answer both. The question says, how can I tell if people are in my life just so I can help them, or if they are just negative energy? I want to be a blessing, but sometimes I can't tell who I need to remove. Or how can you be a light for God without being taken advantage of?
Just want to read it again. How can I tell if people are in my life just so I can help them, or if they are just negative energy? I want to be a blessing, but sometimes I can't tell who I need to remove. Life is about pouring in and pouring out. Meaning, if you're in a relationship or you're around people that always take but never give, it's chances are you need to leave that. If you're feeling drained, connected to a person where you're always being drained, because listen, man, I always tell the people close to me, please be cautious, because you will be used against me. And I don't want to be a type of person that has to cut people out of my life because they don't understand that they may be used against me. But when you see a person that's taking instead of giving, a person's not appreciative of what it is that you have, you got to start making cuts for the betterment of you. If you become a person that always giving but never get, you will be drained, because people are takers at the end of the day. Listen, you want people to take from you, get in ministry. People love just to pull, and people fail to realize of putting back in. So you know how to make cuts in your life when you feel yourself beginning to get drained. You ever had a person in your life that all they do is ask? You can look on their countenance if they're really for you. You know, you can tell by a person's actions whether they're for you or against you. They got the same type of lines. Like, hey, what's up, brother? You know, it's Friday. They always come to you when it's payday. You know what I'm saying? They know your pay cycle better than you. You're like, dang, I got paid yesterday? That person come in your life, man, bro, my radiator or whatever that thing broke. I'm like, dang, bro, that thing broke 2 weeks ago. But what you got to say is that if you keep feeding someone and don't teach them how to fish, they'll never be sustained on their own. So sometimes you got to be like, no, go fish for yourself. If you don't do that, that person will keep coming to you because they know that you're their source. Sometimes you got to say, no, I don't have $5. I don't have $10. I don't have things. But if you start seeing this person that, listen, help people that's wanting to help themselves. That's the answer to that question. Help people that want to help themselves. If they show no evidence of helping themselves, cut them off, because all they want you to do is help them, and you'll become a crutch to them, and you'll be their God. And the moment you have attitude with them, they all of a sudden they jump on you and make you feel less than a Christian, because they'll be like, well, Christians ain't supposed to. But Christians ain't supposed to be used. So you have to make sure that you put that in the balanced perspective. How can you be a light for God without being taken advantage of? Listen, the Bible says you have to be gentle as a dove, but smart as a serpent. I said it backwards. Meaning that Jesus was one of the most masculine individuals. Joker flipped tables. You see what I'm saying? Like, our Jesus ain't that little soft-colored Jesus on them paintings where he's just like, he look like he's soft and stuff. Now, Jesus was a tough dude, but he was a meek dude. Meekness is not based upon being taken advantage of. Meekness says, I know what's best for me and what's best for my endeavors for God. If you don't have a clear conscience of what your vision is and what God's vision for you is, you allow people to come and interfere with what God has for you. So the best way to still be a light, listen, a light is going to be a light whether you like it or not. But lights are always hot, right? So when you touch it, you get heat. Meaning that light also has benefit as well as it doesn't. Meaning that if you're going to be a light, you're going to put off heat, and sometimes you got to be mean sometimes. Not mean, let me take that back. You have to be assured. You have to be stern sometimes. Because if you become this lackadaisical, soft-spoken, the reason why America's being taken advantage of, because we are some soft Christians. We don't stand for anything. But how can you stand for someone else if you can't stand for yourself? Only you know what's best for you. Because I've lost a lot of sleep helping people. I've lost a lot of time helping people, and I love helping people. But if you're not careful, you'll have anxiety attacks, you'll be stressed out, you'll have their burdens on you. So sometimes being a light means just shining, and that's it. Yep. Yep.
And it's just really to piggyback off of what he just said. I tell you, I'm a manager at the airport, and I manage a team of people and a coordinator. And basically, we had a new guy come in maybe a few months ago, and I would, train him. And, when you're training someone, they're going to mess up. You got to do a lot of things for them. But what happened was, after a while, after a month, 2 months, 3 months, I was still doing the same things for him. I was still pouring into, I was still basically doing the job for him. And it got to the point where people were calling me versus calling him. It makes sense. And I was basically doing this job. So what I'm trying to say is that's what a lot of us are doing. We're doing somebody else's job for them. And sometimes the enemy will send people into our lives that we are helping. We're pouring into them so much that we can't even get our own assignments done. And so that's what happened with me at work. I was pouring into him so much, I was coming up short on my stuff. And so not to just sound selfish or anything, but at the same time, you have to ask God, where have you come from? Where did you send this person? Because if you didn't send them, somebody else did. So, like I said, don't be selfish. Give, but at the same time, make sure you have your assignments covered as well. So,
yeah. Life is about balance and priorities. You see what I'm saying? Like, if my sister called me right now, no offense to you, my sister takes precedent over you. If my mom needs me right now, I have to walk off this stage because that's precedence. When you put your life in order, not saying you're not special, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is there has to be a level. Well, I'm just snapping today, my bad. But what I'm trying to say is I love y'all. That's why I do what I do, man. You know what I'm saying? I give y'all my heart, man. But what I'm saying is that you got to have priorities in your life. Because if someone just calls and says, Josh, I need you now, I got to know enough in my spirit for the Holy Spirit to say yes or no. Some of us are too much like Good Samaritans. And what I mean by that, we on the other extreme of trying to do good. That about time you do good for yourself, you have nothing left for you. If you don't have nothing, listen, you can be selfish sometimes. You just can't embody selfishness. You can't just be a selfish person across the board. You have to be a person that says, you know what? I'm going to cut my phone off. Sometimes I got to cut my Facebook off. I got like 20-something unread messages now. And these people treat me like, why you ain't answering my question? I'm like, but you have to understand, I got to look out for me, because if I engulf myself too much into everyone else, I'll be dead and gone at a young age. Sometimes you got to take care of yourself, because a lot of people died helping others prematurely. And you have to look at yourself and say, God, let me count the costs in this scenario. what has the most importance in my life. If you don't have that list of priorities listed, man, you will be stretched thin. Then you'll be out, because once you put your word out there, people are going to expect you to be on your word. So I used to be the type of guy. Let me talk about me. If someone said, Josh, can you move the couch? Yeah. Someone say on the same day, Josh, can you be here? Yeah. And then about time I look at my schedule, dang, I told people yeah at the same time at 4 o'clock. So I'm the type of guy, instead of being integral, not integral, instead of me just saying, hey, I just can't make it, I'll try to make it. Because I want to make everyone happy, and I want to make sure everyone's okay. And when you do that, you'll find yourself overextending yourself. That's why before you say yes, the Bible says keep it simple. Make your yes, yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond that is evil, the Bible says. If you say yes, be very careful who you say yes to, and be very careful who you say no to. Because when you put your word out there, people have expectations on that word. And if you don't meet your expectations, they won't see you as the man of God you're supposed to, because they'll see you not a man of your word. So sometimes you got to sit there and say, give me 5 minutes to think about it. You know how I test people, Chanel? I tell them no first, or I tell them I'll think about it. If they catch an attitude, they really wasn't there. You see what I'm saying? When you keep telling yes, people be like, okay, this guy just give me everything. I had people in this ministry that was talking about, can I speak? Can I do this? And I'd be like, let me think about it. They'd never come back. Their heart was wrong. So take that with you. Take that. That nugget was for free. So y'all go out there, and when someone says, can you take me home, let me think about it. You know what I'm saying? Just joking. Anyone else want to? Y'all take them home if you, anyway, forget that. Here you go.
Can I see the question again?
See your question. They go be like, I ain't taking nobody home. I might need y'all to take me home one day.
Okay, the question says, how can I tell if people are in my life just so I can help them, or if they are just negative energy? I want to be a blessing, but sometimes I can't tell who I need to remove. The best way that we as Christians, the best way that we can be a blessing to anybody, saved or unsaved, is to constantly point them to Christ. And just like Josh and Ish said, the more that you agree to do things, the more that you're nice to people. A lot of times people will take advantage of you, or you'll become their crutch, you'll become their savior, you'll become their bank account, you'll become their provider, you'll become everything that God is supposed to be. So a lot of times, just like Josh said, when you're taking your time and say, well, let me think about it, while you're busy thinking about it, pray about it. Pray about it, because through prayer, you can get answers to things that you can't just get if you just think about it on your own. Because if you think about it on your own, your flesh is going to say, well, she asked me if I could take her to work in the morning, but I really want to sleep in, or that means that I'm going to have to get up early so I can get her to where she needs to go and do this, da-da-da-da-da. Your flesh will talk you out of doing something that the Holy Ghost is trying to talk you into doing. So you can't think about things just on your own. You have to think and pray and think and pray and think and pray. And then oftentimes while you're helping somebody, still just point them to Christ, because at the end of the day, you're not always going to be around to help them out when they need something. But Christ will always be around. And yeah, Jesus might not come down, in a Honda Accord and give them a ride to work, but he can provide something for them in a way that you can't. I mean, he might. I don't know. He's Jesus. He could do it. But chances are he going to come down like a Bentley or something. But chances are, or the fact is, that God can do so much more, and prayer does so much more than anything else. So if you feel like you're in a position where people know that you're a Christian, they know that you're a light, and they're trying to take advantage of you, pray, 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 and prayer will reveal to you who's there and who is really there for the right reason, who God sent across your path so that you could help them, so that you can grow in your walk, or who somebody else sent across your path so that you could be thrown off, so that you could be distracted. Or, sometimes somebody may come across your path and they may be a negative person. They may be somebody that's full of negative energy, and maybe that situation is there to teach you a lesson. But if you're not praying while you're busy thinking about it, how will you know the difference? Did you want to add anything? No? Okay. All right, next question. What is the best way to take your focus off the desire for a mate? What is the best way to take your focus off the desire for a mate?
I always tell people to always ask why. Why do you really want someone? I always tell people, if you ask yourself the honest questions, you'll get the honest answers. And I used to be the type of guy, and I can talk about it, where I was like, man, I just want to be married, man. I got tired of being a virgin. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted a companion. I wanted the sexual things, but I wanted a companion. I wanted someone to be there for me. You know what I'm saying? When you're in this ministry thing, man, it gets lonely sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And so I got so caught up back in college, like, because I went to Oral Roberts University, so that was a Christian school, and they like, once you go there, you're going to find your wife. And so I was just looking around, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, girl, don't sit at this dinner table because sure I might put a ring on it. But what I was saying was, I got caught up in the whole, I just need someone to fulfill me without knowing that God is the only one that can fulfill me. That God is a source and a wife's a resource. That's a big difference. A faucet is a resource by which water, the source, flows through. So if water doesn't come through, I don't get mad at the faucet. It's not the faucet's problem. It's something wrong with the pipe. I got to ask myself, am I connected to God that he is my source so I can be a great resource to a woman? When I realized that I was not a great resource, when I saw my heart for what it really was, when I saw my heart as a selfish, I was a selfish type of dude. I grew up as an only child. You know, I had all these type of selfish ideas. I was like, it's all about me, and I was so hurt for what happened with my dad and what happened in life that I was like, I just wanted a woman just to make me feel like a man. And when I try to make someone to make me feel like something without God making me feel like something, then I will always make them my source. That the moment she has an attitude, I'm affected. The moment she can't give me sex, I'm affected. Because don't you love me? But when you know God is your source and he's everything for you, it doesn't matter what the other people do against you. You are still stable because God is your source. Then no matter if a person comes in or leaves, you're content. So what happens is when a person is so caught up in the ideas of marriage or the ideas of a mate, you will find yourself having selfish desires for something that will not fulfill you. So when I realized that I wasn't ready for marriage, I had to sit there and say, you know what, let me put my focus on God. Let me get busy doing his work. And the best way, or one of the top ways to taking your desire off a mate is to get busy doing what God wants you to do. I'm 5 years in this thing. This thing keeps my mind off of a wife, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing the Lord's work. The reason why Adam didn't get Eve until he stopped naming the animals. God gave Adam an assignment before he gave him his wife. So if you are not finished with that level of assignment, you will not get the one God has for you. So he probably had like 2 giraffes left. And you know, Adam got sick and tired because Adam began to name all these different animals. And he was like, I see this male giraffe and a female giraffe, but what about me? And God said, just keep naming. Just keep doing what I told you to do. Because when God says it's not good for man to be alone, it didn't say that God didn't know. God wasn't like, oh, shoot, my bad, Adam. I forgot about you. He didn't say that. He said it's not good for Adam at this moment to be alone. God gives you things to finish in your single life so that you will be content and you will develop. You'll learn how to be patient. When God gives you that job you don't like, he's teaching you patience. When he gives you co-workers with people that get on your nerves, he's teaching you patience. So when you step into marriage and that person is getting on your nerves, you'll have the patience for that. God has different stages for you to learn important things. If you don't learn these things now, when it's time to get married, you will always fail. So to get your eyes off desiring a mate, you got to say, God, help me with my desires to put it towards you. And we're not talking about cliches type of stuff. We're just saying, God, make me active. Lord, help me to wait on you. Help me to serve you. Lord, let me, give me. I remember one time, this is a good one. Y'all pay attention. When I was in college, God said, I want you to write the book. I was going to call the book The Blueprint, but then Jay-Z came out with his album, so I was like, man, I can't call it Blueprint. But then I was watching Lauryn Hill's Unplug, and that's when Unplug stepped in, and I didn't have a laptop. And I said, God, I really want to write this book, but I got tired of going to the library. The library closing at 10. I had thoughts throughout the night. I had no laptop. 2 weeks later, God provided a laptop. God will provide for what he wants you to do. But he will not provide for what you want to do. So if you want to stay busy, you want to get your mind off God, God, show me where to go. Make me busy. God gave me this big ministry, man. He gave me a lot. He said, man, y'all wonder why I did 400-something videos? Well, I had to keep my mind off stuff. You see what I'm saying? I had to get busy. And when you in God, you produce a lot. When I'm out of God, I'm not as sharp. And you start drifting. I am my most creative, my most productive when I'm connected to him. You don't even worry about a wife. You don't even worry about a mate because you're so busy doing what you're supposed to do. But the moment a person who doesn't have purpose will be easily derailed, engaging themselves in everything. But when you find your purpose and you trust God's timing, you'll get busy. not over busy, but you just get content with where you are. So when God does bring that person, you're whole for them.
You know, it's really about expectations. You know, our expectations, I don't care what it is, it's going to have holes in it. You know, no matter how you expect something to happen. How many times have we expected things to go down a certain way, or we believe God for certain things? We're like, well, I want it to happen like this, this, and that, and God did it behind your back, and it happened like A, B, and C. You wanted like X, Y, and Z, so it was totally different. You know, sometimes we have to line, not sometimes, we have to line our expectations up with God's expectations. This might be a dumb analogy, but you know, y'all know the game show Wipeout. Y'all heard Wipeout? Y'all know what I'm talking about? MTV? No. Oh. ABC though. Yeah. But anyway, it's a lot of different shows where, you know, you have a contestant and there's like 3 different doors and they have to walk through the door. If they go through one and, you know, you may get hit and knocked into the water, or you may walk into a brick wall and the other door may be wide open. That's what we do a lot of times. We try to pick door A, B, or C versus walking through the door that God has over there glowing in the corner. You know what I'm saying? And when you walk through God's doors, it's doors that no man can shut. And see, when we walk through our doors, it's doors that man can't shut. And so, in other words, you keep on just focus on you, and then God will open the door for you.
I always use this analogy because it's one that I have to remind myself of quite a lot. If you've ever been around a child and they do something that they're not supposed to do, you as a form of discipline, some people believe in spanking, but as a form of discipline, you take something from them that they enjoy. Maybe no dessert for a week, or no TV for a week, or give me that iPhone, or, you know, give me that Xbox. But you take something from them that means something to them. And we have to have that same train of thought when it comes to the desires of our heart. I say that because the desire to be married is a good thing. Like, it's not like you're desiring, you know, something that's crazy or terrible. Like, you're desiring to be married. That's a good thing. That's a God thing. However, like I always say, Jeremiah 17:9, your heart is wicked and deceitful above all things. Your heart has the potential to take a God-given desire and make it a self-driven desire. And so when we feel that coming on, when we want marriage more than we want God, when we want the creation more than we want the Creator, we have to take that same initiative. We have to be proactive, and we have to say, God, this is my desire to be married, to be a wife, to be a husband, to be a mother, to be a father. This is my desire to do whatever it is. You take it. Because I, as your child, I do not know what to do with this desire right now. If I hold on to this thing, I'm going to get myself in a whole bunch of trouble. I'm going to end up in a marriage that I really don't want to be in. I'm going to marry somebody that's crazy. I might be the crazy one. Something crazy is going to happen here. So before I mess this God-given thing up, let me give it to you, and you hold on to it. And when you deem me ready and fit to manage this thing, then I trust that you'll give it back to me, because you're my father. So you're not going to withhold something from me that, first of all, you gave me in the first place. I believe that God will give us the desire to be married, the desire to be a parent. So if God gives it to us, the most we can do is give it right back to him and say, well, you know, I appreciate that, but hold on to it, because I don't know what to do with it. And then, and I always say this, and I always say this to myself about so many things, but when it comes to marriage, like, we don't know what it is. Like, we've seen it, we can read books about it, we can listen to podcasts and sermons and go to all the marriage conferences and marriage retreats and all of this, and we can listen to whoever, we can listen to all the married people in the world, but until you're married, you don't know what it is. We don't know what we really want. We want to be married. Do you know what it means to be married? Do you know what it means to maintain a marriage? We want a business. Do we know what it means to be a business owner, to maintain that thing? No, we want the thing, but we don't want everything that comes with it. And that's why we have to say, God, hold on to it. Because I want what I want, but I don't want everything else that comes with it. And God's not going to give you marriage if you don't want everything that comes with it. He's not going to give you a business if you don't want everything that comes with it. He's not going to give you something that you're not prepared to manage. And he's not going to give you something that you don't want to manage. Because quite honestly, a lot of us, we say we want a business, but we want the independence that comes with being a business owner. We want the freedom that comes with being a business owner. A lot of us, we want want marriage, but what we really want is a wedding. What we really want is somebody to be there in the middle of the night when we're lonely. What we really want is somebody that, quote unquote, can't leave us or can't hurt us because that's my husband. That's what we want. We want the thing, and that's it. That's all that we see. We see the ring. We don't see everything that comes with it. We want the dress and the flowers and the guy at the altar. But do you know what it takes to get to the altar? It's not just walking hand in hand with your dad or with your grandpa or whoever. It takes so much to get there, so much to get there. So if you have the desire to be a mother, the desire to be a wife, a father, a parent, whoever, whatever, a business owner, whatever, give it to God, because your heart, just like Josh said, you know, there's so much worse things wrong with our heart than there are wrong with anything in the world, but we neglect this. So give it to God and say, God, work on me, work on my heart in the meantime, because if I take matters into my own hands, I'm going to mess it all up. So take the initiative. Give that desire to God and let it go out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't mean that you won't have those moments where I'm lonely, I'm single, everybody on Facebook is getting married, having 17 babies at once, I'm by myself, not, you know. But everybody else is doing all of this stuff and you're just sitting there, you know, growing older, single as the days go by. Let all of that go. Don't fall into what the world calls love, what the world calls romance, because at the end of the day, you are loved and you have everything that you need in Christ. So long story short, just give it to God and trust that when the time is right, he'll reignite that desire in you, and you'll be ready to manage not just the thing that you want, but everything that it takes to maintain that.
I just want to add something to that. Romance comes with responsibility. Responsibility's definitions in the word, the ability to respond. If you don't have the ability to respond to what you're asking for, it's probably good for you not to engage in it. Before I even think about marriage, before we even think about anything progressing, I got to ask myself, do I have the ability to respond to it? Do I have the capacity to respond to it? And if we continue to overlook responsibilities, then God cannot elevate you. That's why when he told me to start this organization, man, I didn't even realize. I just wanted, if I can be honest, I just wanted to be there preaching in front of thousands of people. If I could be honest, I just wanted to have my own private jet. I wanted a Bentley outside. That's all I saw. You know, I thank God for my pastor, Pastor Gu, who don't show that, but I was so caught up because I went to Oral Roberts and everybody's dad had a Bentley and stuff like that, so I got caught in that. But I didn't realize that when you do something, it comes with responsibility. That man, I got to worry about taxes with this thing. Y'all come and enjoy. I got to worry about, damn, do we got the taxes ready? Do we, you know, how we looking with the money? You know, I got to worry about the budget for next year. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with handling something. And I realized, man, did I really want to do this? Which I do, but did I see it from the beginning what it all entailed? And when you see it from a broader, people divorce for a reason. When you look at it with a broader perspective, you say, okay, before I take a step, let me ponder my path. Let me think about this. Some of y'all, it's okay to take a break. If you're in a relationship, just say, hey, listen, don't fake it to make them happy. Don't try to, just to make them feel love, I'm going to fake it. Don't do that. Be honest. If you can't handle it, you can't handle it. I got to do that myself. I got to make sure before I do anything with a person, before I do anything, I got to ask myself, can I handle it? Because I don't want y'all coming to a church service and I'm in a casket because I'm over there, and I'm trying to make people happy. You got to ask, can I handle the responsibility? And God will never lead you to something or in something if you're not able to respond to it, but you can. See, God said he will never put no more, he would not put more on you than you can bear. He won't. But we put more on ourselves than we can bear. That's why I tell these young preachers when they come ask for advice, I say, man, don't accept every preaching engagement. Don't even practice that habit. Go where you're sent. Because what happens is you'll be that person where I'll take all these assignments, all these things, and you'll be drained at the end. You have to ask yourself, God, what do you want me to do? Am I even able to respond to the needs of a woman right now? Are you ladies able to respond to the needs of a man? If you can't even respond to your own needs, how can you respond to the needs of others? Are you handling your responsibilities for yourself? Because if you're not self-sufficient, if you're not self-sustained, you're going to make somebody else unstable in their pursuits. So it's very imperative that we think, man, your brain was given to you for a reason. If God wanted to do everything for you, he would have never gave you a brain. If God was supposed to do everything for us, he would have never gave you nothing to think with. He doesn't want you to be so dependent on him that you like, okay, God, I'm just going to wait here. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be lazy. I'm going to let you do it for me. God said, I want you to count the cost. Because repetition is the mother of learning. If you repeat on making sure that you're doing the right thing, you will become knowledgeable and you begin to walk in that thing. So that's my 2 cents on that. Last question.
Okay, this is our last question, and we kind of touched on it, but I'll read it anyway. It says, how do I get rid of my personal desires for God's plan? How do I get rid of my personal desires for God's plan?
Yeah, and man, all these questions are like transparent for me, man. I'm about to be all like I'm on a couch or something, like for therapy. Don't worry about it, man. You'll catch it later. Oh, you caught it? You fumbled it a little bit, but you caught it? Okay. What I'm trying to say is that I had a plan for my life. Man, I had a plan, man, just based upon, man, I just wanted to be successful, man. I wanted to be, I wanted to be a billionaire. I wanted to reach 1 billion people. I wanted I had my own selfish desires. And one day God said, Josh, if you follow your plans, you will not succeed them. What he was saying was, he's saying, you want to do all these different things, but your body will not be strong enough to get it. So what he was telling me, he said, Josh, before you start writing your plans, ask yourself why you want these plans. Why do you want to do it? Why do you want to be successful? I was the type of guy, I wanted a Bentley. I love cars. So I said, I remember when I was 17 years old, I had a dream, not a dream. Before I went to sleep, I prayed to God. I said, God, the people saying name it and claim it. So God, can I have 10 cars? I want a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, I want a Bentley. And I believe, God, that by this time next week, God, that you can bring me 10 cars. And I was that ignorant in my faith. I was like, man, I had enough faith for something that God would not transaction on or would not be able to bring in. And God said, Josh, you want a Bentley. That's $300,000 sitting in your front garage. You know how much $300,000 can do for orphans? For those in need? When he showed me that, I just had to weep because I said, God, I am horrible. I want all these different things for all the wrong reasons. I want a Bentley so when I drive, and God said, you try to get a Bentley to drive through poor neighborhoods so they can be inspired by what you have. Why won't you walk through the neighborhoods so they can be inspired by what I'm doing but in you? Why are we trying to wait till we're rich and have all nice things to do God's work? Why are we trying to wait till we have listen, if I waited till y'all showed up, there would not be no unplug. For 7 to 8 weeks, nobody showed up. Because God, if I started this ministry with the Bentleys in mind, I would already quit. Because nobody showed up. But when God gripped my heart and said, Josh, speak into a camera. Because you're doing this much bigger than yourself. Your plans are selfish at their core. Ask yourself, what am I really planning? To build my empire or to expand God's kingdom? What is it that I'm doing? Because, ladies and gentlemen, these cars, these houses, you can't take with you. You can't take them with you. And God said, you can buy a Bentley until all orphans have a family, until all homeless people have a home, then you can buy yourself a Bentley. But since that problem will never be solved, and the poor you're going to have with you always, why should I even get a Bentley? Because $300,000 can help more people than myself. So what are your plans? Are you in your colleges right now for you? Have you even consulted God on what you're supposed to do? I'm glad I found my purpose. Because if I didn't find my purpose, I'd be out here trying to make all kinds of money. I want y'all to hear that. Because I think I'm supposed to sit on this for a while. Tonight, I want you to go home and say, God, reveal your plans for me. When I wrote that book, Unplugged, I had a lot of plans for it. Ishmael, I thought I was going to sell 20,000 copies in the first week. Sold 20. Your plans will always disappoint you. But if my next book only sold 1 copy, it was worth it being written. Because sometimes it's more about the one than the masses. And many of us want the masses, We want the encore from the audience. We want the entourage. We want what success looks like. Do you know how successful Jesus was, that he became poor? He was a carpenter's son. If we were really more like Jesus, and the reason why we don't want to follow him is because we don't really want to go down that path. Because didn't they kill him, Ishmael? Doing what's right, you have to kill yourself and kill your selfish desires. Because your plan, the God's plans for you is much bigger than your plans for yourself. And right now I don't have a car, I don't have a lot of money. But I am so happy. When I go on that Facebook page and I see a young man from New Zealand talking about he was almost going to commit suicide, but until he watched my video, I cry sometimes. Because if I didn't do what I'm doing now, what about them? And I was so caught up in my own selfishness that I wanted to build my own kingdom. But I get message after message of people that I'm helping. And if that means I never get a car, if that means I never get married, if it means I never get what I desire, I have my hope in him. And that when I die, I want Jesus to grab me and say, Josh, I want to take you to a back room. He pulls the curtain away. And he says, everyone in this room is here because of what you did. That's worth it all. You know why I do this when I'm tired? Because I think about y'all at night. The reason why I can't sleep is because I want to make sure I pour my heart to you every week. Because I want you to know a God that changed me. Do you know this Jesus? This Jesus not tragically, but changed my life in a way where all that stuff don't even matter. Because if I was to die tomorrow, I know I'm happy. If you're in this room and you need to get saved, and you don't know this God, or if you're in this room and you say, man, I want to get right with him, because Josh, I'm on the wrong path. Ebola is real. ISIS is real. God said the last days are going to be dark. And if you don't have him now, you'll be like those 5 virgins that have enough oil in their lamps. Do you have enough oil to get through? Don't come to God to be rich. Don't go to God to get out of hell free card. Go to God because he saved you in your own wretchedness. So if you might be saved already, and you might not be. I don't mind praying for you right now, because this is what it's all about. So if you want to rededicate your life, if you're saying, man, hey, man, Josh, I just want to know this God, I want to pray for you now. And if nobody else comes in, we'll do our prayer circle. But I don't mind praying for you. And don't be embarrassed, man, because shoot, if you're embarrassed in front of these people, man, Jesus said, man, if you're embarrassed to proclaim me before man, I'll be embarrassed to proclaim you before my Father. This ain't not to make me look good, it's for your salvation. You can get right today. So we'll take about 5 or 10 or 20